Enters the corner, knee down, and straight away, look at the rear of the bike, watch the rear of the bike, there you go. It's starting to break traction, and at this point, he's lost control. And at that point there, look at that, just a small puff of smoke. The rear wheel's off the ground, the front wheel's about to come off the ground. From that point to there, it's 0.3 of a second. That's literally a blink of an eye. So imagine you're sitting at home, one blink of an eye, from knee down, fully in control, to airborne, and you're about to have the biggest crash of your career. That's what Marc Marquez just experienced. As he leaves the bike, the airbag's deployed now, basically, and that's still a full second before it hits the ground. The bike barrel rolls, we can see the rear tyre come off the rim, and he hits the ground. That initial impact, just 1 second after the high side, is 27.59 G, just crushing him into the tarmac. I mean, I've had some big crashes in my career, but nothing at all like this. So let's look at it frame by frame from this angle. As we can see, it steps out, just ejects him. I mean, he's so high. He does a full somersault, 115 miles an hour. And this might sound strange what I'm going to say, but he actually lands relatively lucky. A lot of the energy is taken out because, look, his feet touch the ground first. It takes away a little bit of the energy as his body rolls, and from this point on now, he slides. I mean, the whole crash, as he's sliding along, lasts 3.95 seconds. So it's quite a long crash. Can you believe there's still 5 more impacts that peak between 20 and 25 G? I mean, that's incredible in one crash. So what we've got here is an onboard. And the beauty of the onboard is you can hear the engine, so you can hear exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about off the throttle high side. So just focus on the noise of the engine. Just listen to this. Did you hear the RPM was going down as he's rolled the throttle, as he enters the corner? At that point, the RPM's going down, and that's why when the rear steps out, there is nothing he can do. You can't close the throttle because it's already closed. And that's why he wasn't able to save it this time or control it. You can hear it really well from the onboard. Again, listen to the note of the engine. I mean, it's like he's ridden over a landmine. This is quite an interesting angle, actually, one that's not really been shown before. It's a wide shot of the crash, and for me, what it shows is the distance that he travels. I mean, it's a long way from where the bike let go to where he ends up. But all the MotoGP riders I spoke to after the crash, they said if you watch it back, he's slightly wide. And when you go slightly wide on a corner, because it's a fast corner, so the racing line's narrow, it is obviously slightly dirtier and less grip. Can you imagine driving down the motorway in your car, standing on the roof, by the way, in your leathers, helmet, boots and gloves on, and jumping off at 115 miles an hour? Well, 20 years ago, if you did that, that would be a career ender, if I'm being honest. Look at that. Marc Marquez, yeah, of course he's dazed. It was far from ideal. And I think the fact that when you see the medical staff going to him, he's brushing them away, I think that really shows just how far we've come over the past couple of decades with rider safety.
Of course, it isn't just Marc Marquez who's had a high side. Here are a few more paddock perspectives of the crash that all riders fear the most.
You know, it's the most dangerous crash you can have in MotoGP.
It happens so quickly, you just hope you don't leave the bike. And if you try to, you're like a cartoon character trying to grab onto something.
There's no way sugarcoating a high side. It's very average as a rider.
You can make high side quite easily, especially when the tires are not ready, when the track is quite slippery.
Thing comes around and just shoots you to the moon, and it's not fun.
Everything suddenly goes into slow motion, and it's not like, bang, you're on the floor. It's like, ooh, and your thought process all slows down. But sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not.
Horrible, yeah, and it's that waiting for the impact's the worst bit, you know, when you're flying through the air.
As you leave the seat, you almost immediately feel the airbag deploy as you're floating through the air upside down, and, you know, it gives you a massive sense of relief, I guess you could say, because at least there's a tiny bit of something between you and the asphalt before you hit. And you land basically sometimes on your back, on your feet, and I land fully on my feet and broke both bones, but yeah, now we with the electronic and everything, I think it's much more easy to set.
Biggest one I had was probably when I broke my hip at Alton Park, and it was a long time ago. It was 2000. It was coming out of the Shell Oils hairpin. I'm a 250. That no inside out, and it was an outlap as well. So it was a real amateur crash as well. So, and it just flicked me into next week. And then I was coming down, just landed straight on my hip, and it broke my femur. And yeah, it was unpleasant. So I've still got 3 big screws in my hip that reminds me every day. And that was 22 years ago, so it's like a toothache in winter. So yeah.
The only worse than a high side is when you crash and you fell on the middle of the track and a bike hit you. It's difficult on that case to protect the riders. But apart from that case, the high side is where the rider can have the biggest injury.
It's not safe. Racing's not safe, you know. We believe it's safe. We think it's safe. We've got airbag technology. Crashing doesn't hurt. It's the stopping that hurts.
But it never deterred you. Get back on the bike and either get a result, win, or high side again. But we just kept going. It was just part of the job, and no one really thought about it. And I think it still is.
MotoGP has a simple philosophy about safety. The best way to escape an injury from a big crash is to not have a big crash in the first place. So here's a look at everything the sport does on a race weekend to make itself as safe as possible. Loris, as Dorna's safety advisor, I want to talk to you about the Safety Commission, which is obviously a riders' forum brought about by the terrible, tragic loss of Daijiro Kato. What kind of things do the riders discuss there? Because it's obviously very private.
It's nearly 20 years we have the Safety Commission, and we working together with the rider for try to improve every racetrack. Maybe surface, maybe run-off area, maybe gravel.
So the tire can touch the white line, but cannot touch the grid. Okay. And I don't know who tried the long lap penalties when we designed, but we have to be on this size.
We have really, really good communication.
We can skip. It's true.
Really follow the feeling of the rider.
And I cannot put my front device, for example, on the start. Because I cannot do stop it. I cannot put the front device, so I cannot try.
That's your problem, man.
No, but if somebody breaks in front of you in the warm-up lap, it's stupid to try that. Warm-up lap is warm-up lap, it's not test lap.
I understand.
Think about last year, after the checkered flag, some guy with a red flag to see that.
When you go to a new track to homologate it, what kinds of things are you looking for?
When you're already building the track, it's not nice to go there to say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this run-off area is not good. It's better to start always in the beginning, and the beginning on the map is easy to say, okay, the corner 3, we want more run-off area, we want less asphalt, we want a different curve. And from already 5 or 6 years, we're working like that. In every new racetrack we go, the safety always is 100% good.
But even the size of the gravel that you use is important.
This is 100%. This is 100% because we try to have nearly everywhere the same gravel. Is not 100% is possible, but the really oval one and small one is the best it is for us.
And why is that?
Because from the feeling of the rider, when he crashes on the wrong gravel, he comes back to us and complain about that.
And I suppose, you know, looking at tracks that are on the calendar, they sometimes have to be changed